Grab your spandex, hitch it up tight for the high notes. It's the second part of I Believe in a Thing Called Love. Hi guys, it's Paul from Crowborough Guitar Tuition, and thanks for joining me for the second part of how to play I Believe in a Thing Called Love. And today we're looking at the solos, which is really the remainder of the song. Now there are actually 3 solos, or short kind of lead parts in this song, various lengths. So we're going to look at each one individually. So let's have a look at how the first one sounds to begin with. Okay, so that first solo appears just after the first chorus, and it's got a couple of little lead lines there. So let's have a look at how we play that. So the tab will be on the screen. You can pick it up in the link below as well. So we're on the B and G strings at the 17th fret. So I'm going to use my third finger on the 17th on the B, and I'm going to use my second on the G, and I put my first finger behind it because I need to bend that G string there. And it's just a very small bend. You'll hear if you're playing against the song if you go too far with it. It's sometimes hard to judge if it's just you, but you're playing both those notes together, the 17th fret, and bending up. Okay. And so at the end of that bend, so you're kind of pushing that bend up, holding it, and whilst you're holding it, you're then playing the B string. You're kind of going back and forth between 2 strings. And then ending up with your first finger at the 16th fret there. And then what I do for the bend at the 21st fret, isn't it? I put my third finger on it, with my second and first fingers behind it, but I keep my first finger quite far back, actually back on the 17th fret, because I'm going to want to hit that note after I've done this bend. And it's quite a gradual bend. You can hear that it starts off and you can hear it start at the bottom and then go up and back down again. Hopefully you can hear that. So I'm going to push up with that third finger and the second, or all the fingers, back to that 17th fret, and then I jump with my first finger to the 16th fret on the G. And then I'm going to use all 3 fingers to bend down towards the floor at the 18th fret on the D. And then back to that 14th fret. And then you've just got a final bend at the 15th fret on the B string. Again, that's a gradual bend, so don't just... So you can hear it bend up, and there's a bit of harmonised guitar going on there. That's the whole first solo. The second solo is the one I played in the intro, and that's probably the longest one and got the most stuff in it. So let's have a look at that. So we're starting off with, if we put our first finger at the 5th fret on the B, and then we're starting really by playing that open string on the E. Okay, simple enough. So what we're going to do there is we're going to use that third finger to bend at the 7th fret and put our 4th finger down at the 7th fret on the E string to get that. So what we're going to do there is we're going to bend with our 3rd finger and use our 4th finger at the 7th fret on the E string to kind of play between that bend. And then we just kind of go back with our 1st finger. So hopefully you can see what's going on there. And then we've got this bit, so I use my first finger for these descending notes, and we've always got that high E string ringing at the top, so you've got to keep your first finger clear of it. Okay. And then what I do is I use fingers 1 and 2 here. So I'm sliding up to that 4th fret. And that the reason I slide up there with my second finger is because I'm going to use my 3rd finger to hit that note on the 6th fret in a second on the D string. So all on there, the only fingers I'm using there are fingers 1 and 3. Okay, so you can see on the video. Then we jump across to the high E string and the B string, and we've got 2 open strings. So I use my first and second fingers as we hit the first and second fret there, and I kind of use them to cut out the ringing from the E and B string once I'm on those notes there, because I don't want that particularly to kind of mush together. And I always go to the, I mean, you could go up to the 4th fret again at the end instead of that there. It's the same note. I prefer to use the open string because then I've got to get all the way up here. It kind of gives me time to get up to this unison bend at the 10th and 12th frets on the G and B strings. So for that, put your first finger on the 10th fret on the B string, second and third fingers kind of next to each other on that 12th fret for that bend. And remember, we're trying to bend this top note up to this note. Okay, so we do that there. Then we move down 1 fret, same position though. So again, it's that kind of classic blues riff we're getting used to in some of these songs. You're bending up with the 2nd and 3rd frets there, 2nd and 3rd fingers even, and using that first finger to bar across the E and B strings at the 9th fret. And what you want to do is you want to make sure you're holding that bend whilst you're playing those notes, so don't let it die. Okay, then we've got this kind of little quick section. So let me break that down. What we're going to do is we're going to use first finger at the 9th fret on the E, and then we've got that pull off from the 12th to the 9th. I'm going to use my 4th finger on my first finger. Okay, and it repeats, doesn't it? Okay, so I'd start with a down pick, and then up pick for the pull off. So from that, after that pull off, okay, so we're really just using our 1st and 3rd fingers to hit those notes on the 9th and 11th frets. Then we've got this section here. So use your 3rd finger at the 11th fret and use your 1st finger to bar that 9th fret bit there. And then it just moves up 1 string. Okay, and then we've just got the 9th and 11th frets, 1st and 3rd fingers. And then I use my 1st finger to bar those 9th frets there on the B and G strings. So what we're doing there is we're starting with that bar, and then we're moving it up 1 fret, and I'm going to put my 2nd finger down ahead of that 1st finger at the 11th fret. So we've got, and then slide that same position up to the 13th and 12th frets. And I always try and slide off it at the end rather than just let it die. It kind of gives a more natural finish, I find. So that's the end of that 2nd solo there. And that leaves us with the final solo, which is kind of quick fire, but it's got some tricky bits in, but they're really cool. So let's have a look at that now. Okay, so that was that final section of solo there. So it starts off with that bend. It comes in a little bit before the bar. A real bend up. This is the motion. If you watch my videos, you're going to see me doing a lot of this on bends. Off we go. So we start at the bottom, go up, so I use my 3rd finger, and with all 3 fingers to push up. And then we have that little run starting at the 17th fret. I like to use my 4th finger because I like to use all my fingers to start there. So 4th finger at the 17th fret on the B string, and then 2nd finger down for the 15th. So I'm using my 4th to 2nd fingers. Then I'm using fingers 3 and 2 here. Down to my first finger, and I use that to slide to the 12th, and then the bend with my third, well, all three fingers at the 14th fret. And then we've got this kind of classic, again, a classic little riff. So just use fingers 1 and 3. Then we've got a section which is quite a quick little rundown. And it's tricky because it's got notes of different length in it. So you kind of get those slightly longer notes there. And then the quick notes again. So you start quick, you've got kind of slightly two shorter notes in the middle, and then back in quite quick again. So again, I would just use my first finger. Oh, well, you're already at the 12th fret after you've done the... And then this rundown really starts at the 14th fret on the D string with your third finger down to your first. And then use 3, 2, 1. Down to the 10th fret with your first finger. 12th fret. Okay, so third finger, first finger. So really you're only using your first and third fingers here. It's classic kind of pentatonic-y style shapes. You've got that second finger there, and you've got that little chromatic bit. But apart from that, that's what it is. Then we've got the section which I really enjoy of pull-offs up on the high E string. So you start with your first finger at the 4th fret. So in terms of fingers for that, I'm going to use my first for the 4th, 5th and 7th pull-offs, and then I'm going to use my third finger at the 9th fret. And then I use my third finger primarily to move further up the neck. So you'll notice that as that riff progresses up the neck, you drop out the open E's in between. Okay, the key with this really is just to take it slowly. I don't want to be too prescriptive with what fingers you use as you move up the neck. I'm not even sure I'm 100% uniform when I do it. So I would work out what's comfortable for you, and it's going to make it easy. Just always think what's coming next, what's ahead of you. Are you using the most helpful finger to get you in position for the next thing? Because if you use the wrong finger, that's what's going to throw you off. Let me kind of try and walk you through the fingers. Like I said, I'm not even sure I'm 100% uniform, but I'll try and do what I think I do. And sometimes it's difficult to do that when you're going more slowly. But let's have a look. So primarily I'm moving between the first and third fingers to hit those pull-offs. So it changes a little bit when I get up to the 16th and 17th frets. So I use my third finger initially to hit that 16th and 17th. But then I use my second finger when I come back to the 16th, and then I jump with my third finger to the 19th. And then I use my first finger at the 16th, second finger at the 17th. Then you've got a couple of open strings, or 4 I think it is. Before that, bend at the 22nd fret at the end. So if you're on a Strat, sorry people, 21 frets, you're out. So that's a tricky bend just to get all your fingers behind, particularly if you've got something like a Les Paul without a cutaway here. It can be a bit tricky to get up there, I find. But just go for it and get that bend in. And that takes you through the 3 solos. There is just a little bit at the end of the song, a kind of rundown, which I can't even remember off the top of my head, you know. That kind of thing. It's all on the tab. To be honest, I wouldn't worry too much about nailing that exactly. Maybe grab a pentatonic shape and just play around with having a little rundown yourself. Make something up. I think that can make it a bit more fun. And it encourages you to not just copy everyone's stuff, which I think is the best way forward. So that's how to play I Believe in a Thing Called Love. Hopefully you can integrate those solos in with the rhythm sections you learned in the first video, and you can have a great time playing along. Do check out YouTube for some backing tracks for it. There's some great ones out there. I've picked one up to use for today, and you'll have a good time. But let me know in the comments any things you want to do, and I'll see you next time. Thanks very much. Hi guys, thanks for watching. For more guitar tips and video lessons, click on the subscribe button down below, and let me know in the comments what songs or video lessons you'd like to see. If you want to keep up with some of our news, you can like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter, or you can always check out our website, crowboroughguitartuition.com.